Good Thursday evening. Welcome to another edition of the Sideline Junkies Thursday Night Throwdown. It's me, it's the big guy KG, coming to you live, unfiltered, uncut, and uncensored. Sitting in with the incomparable, the undefeated, the immovable, and because he old school, and I just thought about something, I said he old school, he like R&B. Of course he does. Ladies, you can call him insatiable, the Midnight Rider.
Oh, I'm glad you went that one, boy. There's another.
Hey,
there's one that.
Hey, one thing you can never go wrong with is Prince. That's what you can't go wrong with. You can't go. And I'm being honest. I'm being live. I'm being real. You want to set the mood? Get you some Prince. Trust me, you won't regret it. But first and foremost, like we do every night, how you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. Just trying to get settled. You know how it goes. Some nights you get in the house and everything goes right, and then some nights you can't find your left shoe, even though you just took it off. Mm-hmm. So it bees like that sometimes. So finally got settled. Finally got the game up. I think I'm watching Kansas State and Michigan State. So we'll see what's going to happen there.
And you have a vested interest in that, so.
Oh yeah, of course. Both bracket and personal.
So we're gonna start this off because remember, tonight is the night we pick up where we left off on Tuesday night. So, but before we get into that, we got some NBA things to talk about. Ja Morant, number one, comes back off of his total 8-game suspension.
Right.
Scored 17. I don't
know if they quote unquote will call it a suspension. I think it was just his time away. I don't know if he's officially a suspension. I'll have to go back and look on that, but still, he missed about 8 games. So they found a nice soft landing spot playing Houston, and they brought him off the bench last night. He gave him 17 points, and it kind of just got hidden in the traffic of the night. If you're an LA fan, you saw Austin Reeves go off for 25, carry the Lakers to a win. LeBron probably not going to rush back because we're just going to run the offense through Austin Reeves now. Forget AD, it's Austin Reeves time. And that's all sarcasm, if you can't tell.
Since we talking about our own personal teams, Chicago, Patrick Beverley decided to release a statement. He said, I can have a bad game in Chicago and ain't nobody tweeting about it like it was in LA. And I'm like, dude, is that anything to be proud of? Like, come on, man. Be real right now.
Well, I need to get your feelings because if we're talking Chicago, Lonzo goes in, has a third surgery to try to get himself back for next season. But they're not sure if that's even going to work. They're actually talking about cartilage replacement. So what are your thoughts on that?
Number one, I thought that the way we played last year before he got hurt was pretty well. Him, Zach LaVine, Kobe White, we got Vucevic. I was like, yo, we got something going here. It got to translate into wins, and it kind of sort of didn't. And without him, don't forget about Caruso, because what's the old boy from Duke? Grayson Allen.
Mm-hmm.
When Grayson Allen hurt Caruso, I was ready to knuckle up. Not even gonna lie, I was ready to fight. Ready to put the hands on him because you're a dirty player and you keep doing this. So, but with that core of guys, I'm like, this should translate to more wins. But we need Lonzo for that to happen because he's the steady hand that helps.
He also makes sure that people get the ball at the right times in the right moments. Like sometimes, I think everybody thinks they're a point guard, but the key to being a point guard is knowing, we've gone 2 trips down and somebody hasn't gotten a touch. Let me get him a touch in his sweet spot. So maybe we're going to run 4 down because there's a pin down screen and the guy comes out to the corner and that's his shot. Or he gets the option if it's a pin down and he's going to the wing with the guy trails him, he can curl over top of it and go towards the basket, like little stuff. So I think sometimes people don't always get the ins and out. They just thinking you're bringing the basketball up. You're not actually setting up and dictating the offense to people.
The term I like to use for point guards is they set the table. And when you set the table, what happens? Everybody eats.
Yeah, there it is.
And Lonzo Ball, for every piece of criticism everybody has given him over the years, even when he was in LA, this man had a run of, what was it, 8 straight games where he had double doubles, or was it triple doubles? It was double doubles.
Probably double doubles.
He had 10 and 10. Oh, well, that's not really a double double. Well, a double double consists of double figures in 2 or more categories. Well, 2 categories. Right. Triple double, 3 categories, 4 categories for quadruple double. Okay. I don't care if it's a poor man's double double. It's a double double. Give the man his credit. Give him his props. And people didn't do that, and I hated it. Now he's in Chicago, and I'm like, okay, we need him on the floor because Chicago is floundering as we speak without him.
Absolutely.
And this new surgery, I just hope he's able to come back. And I hope he's able to come back and play 100%. I don't want him back at 75. He's a shell of himself. I need him to be him. Right. And I don't want this to be career ending. So
this has the implications and the possibilities of being career ending just because of the type of surgery he's going to have. There's some other things that I would go into at another time. But it's just, I'm amazed we're here at this spot. Because we should be in a better place in terms of some of these surgeries these guys are getting. So I would love to see him make a comeback. And then getting back to where we started this on comebacks with Ja, my question to you is real simple. Was enough time away from did he spend enough time away from the court for this to mean something?
No. This was now if I put it in a perspective, was this worse than Gilbert Arenas? No. I think it's on the same level, but I don't think worse than. So Gilbert Arenas got into it with a teammate and was threatening to shoot each other. That's different than just waving a gun. But now Ja did get into it with a teenager, and we talked about that. But he needed more time away. If he's going to get help, you can't get help in 2 weeks and can't say, you can't say I got help. I'm cured. Yeah. It doesn't work like that.
I felt like it came to a point where the NBA really wasn't going to do anything, but they felt obligated to at least get him out of the way. It was almost like he made a deal. They were like, hey, look, just take a couple of weeks off so we can get this out of the spotlight, so we can get some other things to come in and get in front of you. The World Baseball Classic happens the other night. You got the NCAA tournament starting back up. It's enough stuff to keep you off of Front Street with your comeback. And I think that's what last night was. Last night was just the perfect landing spot because it pins him in between 2 things where you're not going to lead off your show with him as in the A block.
And what's crazy is when you said something, I was like, he did? Right. I didn't even know he came back last night. So it wasn't even news to me.
Perfect landing spot.
Wasn't news, but he's back, scored 17 last night. Maybe he'll work his way back. He'll keep out of trouble. He'll be in good trouble. But none of this bad stuff with these flashing these guns and acting like he a gangster no more for the rest of his natural born days. So switching gears, Cam Newton throws at Auburn Pro Day. Shannon Sharp had a lot to say. And I do want to say this. If we went through all 32 potential starting quarterbacks in the NFL, you can't tell me that out of 32, there are 32 starting quarterbacks better than Cam Newton. But everybody said, well, these are 32 that's in the league now, so they must be better than him.
This is about fit.
Yeah, it is.
So there's 32 fits to whatever the plan is. The biggest issue for Cam is going to be can he dial his personality back enough? Can he humble himself enough to be okay with being a backup? And that's even going to be a concern for some teams because, he's a big personality. And maybe when that quarterback struggles, the fans may have that quick hook because the fans love the backup quarterback. And it's not just in Washington. It's a lot of places. So the question is going to be, do you think you can handle? It's not his ability. It's what he brings outside of that. And can your locker room handle him being there? Because there may be some guys, if you're in the locker room like he was in New England, and there may be some Cam guys, and then you might have some Mac Jones guys.
Mm-hmm.
Can you survive that? And that's the kicker. And I like the fact that he came back and did the pro day. I watched him make a couple of throws, and if you ever go back, I think it was 2018 when he was in Carolina, coming off the shoulder problem, and he got destroyed by TJ Watt in like a Monday night game. Ball goes up in the air, and after that game, he was never, ever the same after
Chris
that.
Jericho.
He was never the same after that. And he had bad luck with the COVID year because he caught COVID early on in the season, and then he just never recovered physically to get his strength back. But he still was throwing the ball against his body. So I knew he wasn't going to get another year there. And if Mac Jones had a pulse, it was going to be he was going to get benched. So now he's here. He goes to the pro day. I'm guessing that Auburn or the schools in the region didn't really have a quarterback that they felt good enough to help showcase the people at the pro day. So they got him in for a couple of throws to kind of supplement it, to give probably the pro teams a better look at the guys they were looking at. So that happens at times too. Is sometimes you get a pro day where there isn't a guy that's eligible to throw. So you got to kind of maneuver and get somebody though. Sometimes some of the quarterback coach guru guys are the guys that throw at certain pro days just because in that area there's not a guy eligible. Right. So I think he took advantage of a good opportunity to let people see you throw. Throw to some young guys. You give them a better option of having timing with somebody because you're a professional. And then it just goes from there. So I think it was a win-win in terms of putting himself out there. I just don't know if somebody's going to take the gamble because, again, you want your backup quarterback to be known not by name, not to have a reputation. You kind of want him to be there silent. And if you get in the jam, you got to use him. It's like that fire alarm. You got to break the glass to get that fire extinguisher out or that little hammer, whatever it was back in the day. That's what you want. You don't want him out on Front Street being braggadocious and just bringing attention. You want him to kind of be there and be quiet. Like, I don't even know if Chase Daniel was in the league this year, but like Chase Daniel was the perfect example. A guy that just sat there. I think he's made like $41 million. He may have played 5 games in his career, and it's just that. But nobody knows about him. Nobody talks about him. I actually thought for us, he would be somebody that they would take an opportunity to look at because he's been in that Kansas City offense. Like, you want as many guys in that room that know the offense. So he would have been perfect, him or Henny. And I would have brought Henny in or see if Henny's busy this summer. And when they're at camp, I would bring Henny in for 2 weeks. Like, look, dog, 2-week vacation. Here goes some bread. Just sit here with the kid, watch a couple days, and do your thing. Simple. Mute monster.
Monster, yeah. Here's my thing. You cannot tell me that Cam Newton didn't show out very well at this pro day. And I feel bad that he has to go through this. Just same way I felt bad for Kaepernick, but I'm not going to get into that because that starts a whole nother can of worms and it's different opinions. But did he look good? Yeah. But the way Shannon Sharp dressed him down, Uncle Shay Shay really dressed him down. And I'm like, yeah, he still has gas left in the tank, but he made a brilliant point. You can come in and you say you can be a backup until you're a backup, and then you start pushing the starter to be the starter. But like you said, it's not always the player that's pushing it. It's either the guys in the locker room or the fan base.
Right.
How many times have we've been in a situation here in Washington where a backup was on the bench and they want to push the starter out to get the backup because, oh, he needs to play. He needs to play. I'm trying to remember who it was because it's happened several times. But it happened. And when the backup got in, he was just as bad as the starter was playing.
No, he was worse. If you're thinking about what I'm thinking about, so Rex Grossman is playing the Philadelphia Eagles. He gets benched because he's thrown like 3 interceptions. John Beck comes in, moves the ball moderately. I think they end up, I want to say they won that game. And because they won, fans were hollering for Beck to start the next week. And I think that next week they actually go to, I don't know if that's the Buffalo game or if there's a game in between that. And that's when Beck throws he gets sacked 10 times. He throws 10 passes to Roy Halou behind the line of scrimmage. Just yet. And that's one of the cases. There's plenty of times where that's happened, and it's just in DC or only in DC can that happen. There were people at the beginning of the season hollering for Howell, hadn't seen nothing of him, and it was there was a fraction, probably 10 or 15% that was hey, Sam Howell should be the starter.
Yeah,
and I don't know if they set it off of what they saw in training camp or what, but that was the thing. So,
but you know why they said that?
He's got the better arm.
One pass that was made in a pregame route tree.
Okay.
A drill. And it was a rollout. He rolled out, and I think he slung that thing maybe about 45, 50 yards in the air, and it was a dot. Yeah, that's easy to do when it's just you and the receiver. That's easy to do when it's 7-on-7. But like I always say, when them live bullets fly, can you do it then?
No, there were a couple beat guys. I think Linnell Willingham on 106. He was a big Howell guy. He thought he had the better what's the word I'm looking for? Arsenal. He could do more stuff. He had the arm strength and he had the accuracy.
Moxie. That's the word you're looking for.
Oh gosh. He's full of that.
But here's my thing. You can't come into a situation, and Cam Newton can't go into a situation like that where give me a bad quarterback situation. But bad quarterback situation, but he would fit as a backup, but the starter is just a fraction of a hair better.
So let's say he goes to Vegas and goes and sits behind Stidham and Garoppolo.
Okay, let's use Garoppolo. He's behind Garoppolo as a backup. And the fan base starts saying, well, Garoppolo struggles and goes to that Garoppolo stage. He starts Jimmy G'ing. And, he has a couple of games where he stumbles a little bit. They may be wins, but they're ugly. Oh, well, we need to do this. We need to put Cam in and see what Cam got. And Cam need to do this. And Cam, doing all of that. And the bad part is you do all of that, put him in, and you got nothing. Next thing you know, you done lost 3 games in a row, not because of him, but the team didn't respond well. And the team was actually rolling, had chemistry. You put him in cold, they got no chemistry, and then boom. This is the things that you have to worry about if he came here to Washington. The way that this city drools over free agents.
Any
big name free agents. Yeah, especially a quarterback. I look back, I'm never forget this because I just did it. When they signed Carson Wentz, when they traded for Carson Wentz, right? I made a reel about why would we trade for Carson Wentz? Of all people, why would we give up so much for him? It's a comment that was from 8 months ago. A Commanders fan, and I just realized it. Didn't know it. This is on YouTube. We need a quarterback, bub, and he's the guy. I responded to that. You sure about that? What you got to say now? He's not even on a team a year later. But, we needed a quarterback. We are not that desperate for a quarterback that you got to go out and get this is not 2015 Cam Newton. I'll give you that. we're not that desperate for a quarterback where we can go get Cam Newton, Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan, Aaron Rodgers, for all I care. These are not guys that we're going to be able to win around long term. I like letting Howell play, but I also like getting a veteran to put his arm around him and say, hey, this is how the NFL goes. And I mean a good veteran. I don't mean yes. And I think Brissett is that guy. I think he's the arm around the shoulder guy. Would it be better if it was Tyrod Taylor? Because Tyrod Taylor is when it comes to X's and O's, Tyrod Taylor is the guy that you would love to sit and watch and say, watch how he comes into the building at 4:30 in the morning. He's watching film. He's doing everything. He does everything the right way. And I think he may not have the greatest career, but him as a coach is going to be something special if he decides to go that route because of his work ethic and how he approaches the game.
He'll definitely be a QB coach or offensive coordinator at some level, hopefully one of the higher two levels. If to be honest with you, if I had a quarterback and he was a backup type of guy and Washington signed Tyrod, as you say, I'd be clamoring to come here to be the third string guy because I know Tyrod's going to get hurt at some point if he's playing, and I'm going to get some time. I mean, even if the trainer takes him out by accidentally giving him a bad shot and puncturing a lung or whatever he did. I mean, this guy's had like some bad injury luck, and I joke about it, but honestly, I would love to play. I'd be the quarterback behind him because I know I'm gonna play. And there's no offense to him. I mean, you had Jake Fromm playing last year for New York Giants because I think Tyrod injured his back in the game, and then that's how you ended up, not last year, but 2 years ago, and that's how you ended up with the Jake from State Farm 3 kneel downs against the Commanders coming off the goal line.
Please don't make me laugh. I was drinking water. But this is Cam Newton, and here's another take on it, and this is my personal take. Even though I know when you get later in your career, you got to switch, and you can't be that superstar guy. Carmelo Anthony had to humble himself. I remember when he said he would never come off the bench, but he had to humble himself if he wanted to play. He came off the bench in Portland, came off the bench in LA. And I really would love to see him come off the bench in either Washington or Chicago right now because both teams need a spark of a score. And he could be a Vinny Microwave Johnson, but content. Cam Newton has to humble himself enough to say, yes, I'm the backup quarterback. My job is to make sure that my starter is well prepared because I'm going to use my vast knowledge, what I can see, to be in his ear. Okay, you got to look out for this. This is where they're going to come to you at. And I got to be able to talk to the team. Hey, we here to win games. We ain't here to fight. It ain't about his show, that show. It's our show. Let's do it. We're going to do this as a team. That's what I expect from an older guy like Cam Newton because he's not a young pup. You're older, you're wiser. Old age doesn't always equate wisdom, but it should, especially in a situation like this where you've been in the league for how long you've been there. Just a thought.
It comes down to the adjectives, though.
Yeah.
The adjectives used around him is athletic, you know what I'm saying, able to make plays off script. So he doesn't fit the motif for the backup, where the backup is always the guy that's heady. He's got moxie. He's first guy in the room or second guy in the room, making sure everything's done, dotting the I's and crossing T's. Those aren't the things that he gets in his compliment sandwich. So who's going to change their language around Cam Newton to make him fit as a backup? That's really the question. That is really the question, because it's not about, like, he has that video where he's like, oh, the randoms. Well, you're a random now. And I think that's what Shannon was telling him. You're one of these random guys now. Somebody's got to actually believe in you and pick you. There's not a place where somebody's like dying for you to come in the building. Those days are done. Yeah. Now you got to conform and fit before anything else happens.
I guess the coming up to the line and the
Clay Matthews.
oh, you watch film, huh? Watch this.
Yeah.
I guess those days are over.
Right.
So
Yeah.
moving on. Here's a question for you. Does Zeke really have a market? Now he's narrowed his decision down to 3 teams. The Jets, the Eagles, and the Bengals. That's his 3 choices. I guess I don't know how they feel about it because if I'm them, I'm not agreeing. But my question to you is: does Ezekiel Elliott have a market? Thanks for taking my call. I'll hang up and listen.
Well, thanks for calling. But let's break this down real simple. As a branch of the tree of Shanahan, Zeke doesn't fit in New York because New York has Brees Hall. They brought back Ty Johnson the other day, and then they have Michael Carter from North Carolina, who's in his third year now. So you got 2 young bulls, and then you got the playmaker or the guy that's kind of like your slash with Johnson. So it really makes no sense. And if I'm the Jets anyway, again, House of Shanahan believes I'm drafting a young running back late in this draft to see what else I can get. Maybe a guy that's more of a speedster. That way I don't have to worry about. I can bring him in maybe on third downs. He gives me a little bit more electricity than Carter and Hall. But Hall is going to be a stud, and his only issue is going to be can he stay healthy. So I don't see him fitting there. Bengals, I can see the fit because you're probably going to go off of Joe Mixon. The Bengals are probably one of the teams that, I've been sprinkling this potion all season for certain teams, but Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs are 2 guys in this first round or early second that have to come off the board and need a place to go. The Bengals would be smart to let one of them be the stud, and then maybe you have Zeke come off the bench as the backup because he can help with the pass protection and things of that nature. But I don't see a place in this world where he's the first guy, and if he is, he's only the first guy for 5 games. Who was the team I missed? The Eagles. Eagles pick at 10. I'm sorry. They pick at 10 and 30. Again, I'm going to say it to him blue in the face, and you can get tired of me saying the name. Bijan Robinson. He's the only stud running back in this draft. So why not take him at 10? Because you've lost some things, and then you start fixing your defense on the back end. Or you trade down at 10, go to like 15, 17, and then you start building that back up because you got to build up your cornerbacks, and you got to build up something else. So I don't see the Eagles really going with him as as a back because they're gonna give the ball to go with what's his name? Kenneth Gainwell from Memphis. And then you also have Scott and company that's still there. So they have kind of a system with running backs. So I don't know, man. He's definitely somebody's 2. He might get better luck if he lets them go to camp, stays in shape, and tries to catch on somewhere in camp with a team. But I don't see, and again, part of that, and I'll be completely full honest and 100 is I don't believe in picking up old running backs.
Oh my, here we go. In 2019, he signed a 6-year extension with the Cowboys, $90 million with $50 million guaranteed, right? Supposed to keep him under contract until 2026. He was released earlier this month once the new league year started. He has never been as good as he once was. And when I say once was, his rookie year. Right. Best season he's ever had. 15 games played, 15 started, 322 carries, 1,631 yards, 5.1 yards per carry. His longest run was 60 yards, 15 touchdowns, caught 32 passes for 363, and 83 was his longest. He had 1 touchdown, 5 fumbles, and he only lost 1. Rushing wise, he hasn't had a season like that since. Now, receiving, the 2018 season, 77 receptions, 567 yards, 3 touchdowns, but he lost 6 fumbles. He had 6 fumbles. He lost 1. He has not had a season like his rookie season since his rookie season. Now, let's start with 2017 and go all the way to 2022. These are how many yards he had each season up until last. 983, 1,434, 1,357, 979, 1,002, 876. Now, granted, he plays maybe another good season, get 10,000 yards. I mean, it's like getting 3,000 hits. He might be considered for the Hall of Fame senior committee, maybe. But this dude has not produced the way he once did since 2016. 2021, he played 17 games, played all 17 games. 1,002 yards rushing.
Where did Kellen Moore go? He went to San Diego, right?
Let me find out. Go ahead. Because
if Kellen Moore's in San Diego, that's the landing place for Zeke. Because I know Austin Eckler wants a new contract. Austin Eckler wants to move on. Again, I'll say it again so I'm blue in the face. The Chargers need a dynamic running back. There's one running back in this draft. Bijan Robinson, Texas. I'm just going to say this every day. Every time you say NFL draft, just go ahead and pencil in. So if you watching at home, you want to play a drinking game, take a shot every time I say a team needs Bijan Robinson because it's going to be a lot. So I wouldn't do the 151. You want to get something a little lighter than that, all right? But I don't understand it. Like, there's no need to recycle running backs. There's so many good running backs in this draft. I think it's Tajay Spears from Tulane. Good value in the third or fourth round if he's going to be there. He's an every down back. He does everything you want. Devin Achane from Texas A&M, very fast back. He's a little light in the ass, so he'd be perfect as a third back option or somebody you run on like a. The only old back I would take is Jerick McKinnon. He's about 27, 28 now, or 26, 27. But he doesn't have enough mileage on his legs. That's the kind of guy. Actually, I would love to see him here in Washington. But I just don't think Zeke, personally, again, Tria Shanahan, left branch. I just don't believe in it. I just don't see it, man.
You got to get off that tree, man. You got to kill the
No, that's
tree.
I'm deeply rooted in this tree, bro.
Okay. We can agree that there's no market because let me go. Now, I was going to say, and Kellen Moore isn't with the Chargers, the LA Chargers, not the San Diego Superchargers, the LA Chargers. I was going to say.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. I'm sorry. I'm glad you said Chargers. So the other thing I was going to say is that's one spot only because, again, he's familiar with the offense. It'd be an easy fit for him to go in just in case Kellen is allowed to do some of his stuff or make a lot of his stuff the way they run the offense in in Los Angeles, then that's going to be perfect because then Zeke can help teach the room. But he's going to have to take on the LT role where LT backed up Sean Green in the Jets and kind of be that mentor and help that young guy come along and become a better player. That's the thing that he's going to have to be comfortable with doing. I just don't see a team, or again, my belief system isn't allowing me to see a team make him their starting running back because he just doesn't have what you said. He doesn't have the wiggle and shake from his rookie season. He's going to be a plotter, so he can plot, but you still want somebody else. You know what I'm saying?
But
and you know what? Now that I think about it, he could do that that Samaje Perine role in Cincinnati, where he was kind of like their third down back. He was kind of their power back. He did a little bit, but he was good enough in the pass protection that he helped that offensive line out. So, yeah, you know what? The one place I'm going to give Cincinnati the call. So I'm going to have Cincinnati, the Chargers, and then the field because I got to figure the rest out.
Okay, let me say this. Zeke did not – he's only 27, okay?
Oh.
Yeah, and running back age, because a running back shelf life is 22 to really 26.
Yep. Those years.
You Go ahead.
If you're AP, I'm sorry. No, if you're an AP, you're still running past 26. You probably get into your 30s with that. But it's not a lot of guys. That's I mean, you gotta think about it. We're in an age now where running backs. We celebrated what's the Pokemon dude, Jamal Williams. We celebrated him having 17 touchdowns last season. And probably 14. Yeah, and 14 of those touchdowns was probably from the 1 yard line. So it's like we don't value the running back position the same. We don't have the same thing. Like now your leading rusher might have 1,200, 1,300 yards because they're splitting carries.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless they're the dominant guy, unless they're like Jonathan Taylor of this league, they're not really getting the full boatload of carries. You know, there's always them and somebody else.
And that's the thing. We don't have the one back set where you have the one main running back that takes the bulk of the carries. He carries the ball 300, 325 times. If you're really good at it, 350. If you're superb at it, 400. You know, that's
but we're not even investing in that.
Right. Nobody runs the ball that much as a team. Zeke's not going to get that because Zeke is not, you know what he's going to do? You give him the ball off tackle. He's going to take 2 steps and the field monster going to say, oh, that's my tackle. The field monster led the league in tackles against him last year. This dude would take 2 steps and fall. 2 steps, fall. 2 steps, fall. You know, he got a 5-yard gain and he trying to crawl to get to the 5. No, dude, the hole is there. You could run Mack trucks through it, but there is no more. You won't see no more. Put it to you this way. Since, you know, Zeke wants to be the feature back. There are no more feature backs. There are running back by committee now. When we grew up, there were feature backs. Now, tell me who was Earl Campbell's backup?
No clue.
Neither do I. Who was John Riggins' backup?
Well, that's not fair because I could say Joe Washington or Nick Giaquino was the third down back. So it's not a fair one.
That's not fair. Okay, but yeah, and John Riggins was older. He was most rushing yards after the age of 30, I believe.
Yeah.
And I think he gave it up at 35.
Yep.
And was still, in my opinion, top of his game. But he was like, yeah, it's time for me to move on.
Right.
Emmitt Smith. Who was truly Emmitt Smith's backup in Dallas? Because it was a different running back every year.
I think Julius Jones had a stretch.
Early Dallas. And he didn't back up. He didn't back up Emmitt. He came after him. He was the running back after Emmitt, I believe. After Jerry Jones used him and got rid of him like a piece of Kleenex.
Was it Troy Hambrick? Or was he later too? Because there's a bunch of bad Dallas running backs that had like 100-yard games against Washington. So
exactly.
I'm kind of going through some trauma here. A little PTSD. But I get your point.
Curvin Richards.
I get your point.
Who got cut because he fumbled 3 times against Chicago.
Right.
Got a Super Bowl ring, but he got cut. My point is, there are no more feature backs. There are no more Barry Sanders. And I don't even...
The running back room now is like, instead of it being Lionel Richie, it's the Commodores. Yeah. Instead of it being Prince, it's Hall and Oates, depending on the team. You know what I'm saying? It's more of a duo now.
Wait, hold on. I mean, it ain't nothing wrong with being the Commodore. I mean, instead of being Smokey Robinson, it's just the Miracles. But I mean,
you get what I'm saying.
I do.
You know analogy. You know what I'm saying?
You don't have that guy that has that it factor. But I mean, you know, the Commodores were a little bit more successful without Lionel Richie. But I'm just going to say they got their first Grammy with the Night Shift. Okay. Music history for you. But I'm sitting here and I'm thinking,
I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you that you didn't bring. I was waiting for a David Ruffin. I was waiting for a David Ruffin reference.
Well,
you made it. You made it.
Well, no, because being a Temptations fan, you know the Temptations were a machine. They worked together because.
But who they come to see?
At this present point, they are coming to see Otis because that's all they can come to see. So say what now? Say what now? Come on now. But you know, and I don't know why I just thought about that, but That's what Zeke wants to be.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to be in the limo with Flynn, talking about, you ain't been unreasonable, baby. Smokey Robinson and the Miracles, Junior Walker and the All Stars, Martha Reeves and the Vandellas, Diana Ross and the Supremes, David Ruffin and what's their name? You can't be that guy because you're not that guy. If this was 2016, you could have been that guy, but you're not that guy. You're going to have to be on the committee with somebody, whether it's in Detroit, Cincinnati with the Jets, or in Philly. You got to be a part of that Philly machine, but you got to fit in. And what you have to do, you got to tuck your ego, pack it away, and learn how to be a part of a team. Team. That's it, and that's all.
You're good.
So, and to answer the question, in my opinion, I don't think Zeke has a market because he's 27 years old. He's old as damn dirt. running back wise, but I don't think he has a market. But I think he'll be serviceable wherever he goes. But if he loses,
the dark side.
But if he loses just a little bit weight, he get back down to rookie weight. Because nobody grounds and pounds anymore. Nobody pounds the ball. Right. You're not running counter trade 25, 30 times a game. You're not running 50 gut. You're not running plays like that. You're not running smash plays every other play. Nobody runs the ball like that. He get back to being who he was, able to bounce out to the outside and hit the sideline and go. Maybe he got a rejuvenation.
You just added 2 teams to his list there. You just added Miami and San Fran for me. San Fran is going to be a money thing, but Miami and San Fran could be places where he could get rejuvenated with a little outside zone, one cut run. So, yeah, that's the only other thing. I'm glad you brought that up. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Okay, moving on to the next topic. Lamar. These things that are coming out. Lamar. So apparently he has some guy that is. I missed it. He has some guy that is calling around the teams trying to negotiate a 9-figure deal on his behalf. Hold on. Let me get it. Bobby Trossett.
But is he approved by the
No, not by the NFLPA. Yeah.
So he's basically cutting off his nose to spite his face by some of his own decisions have made this.
Here's the thing. This is what Lamar said. Now, hold on. Let me tell you what Tom Pelissero said on Twitter. Ken Francis is a Florida man who most recently was pitching a home fitness invention. I'm told. He now is trying to negotiate a 9-figure contract with NFL teams who are being told they're not allowed to negotiate with him because he is not a certified agent. Lamar Jackson responded, "Stop lying. That man never tried to negotiate for me with the crying laughing emojis. This is every day, but it's okay not to be okay. Mental health awareness is what." So Lamar is saying this dude's not negotiating for him. And I get what you're saying about getting an agent. And you can't, Ray Allen had his mom look over his contract. He got, at the time, they thought Kevin Garnett's contract with the 126 was the biggest, but Ray Allen's 124 was actually the biggest contract because he got all of that money and didn't have to pay no agent fees. If Lamar wants, you talking 9 figures. 9 figures is hundreds of millions. Yeah, right. Yeah, that's hundreds of millions. Because 10 figures is billion. So yeah, but you mean to tell me Lamar's not worth 100 million?
See, everybody keeps using that W word. That W word ain't the word we need right now. The W word that's me. I'm sorry. The W word is worth, but is now the word is leverage and what he can actually get. He has put himself in a spot where because he has no agent, he can't cut backdoor deals or backside deals and get anything in place to give him footing in getting the deal done. So now what has to happen is everything has to be done up front. So a lot of teams are scared away because they just think the Ravens are going to match. And B, they don't want to compromise themselves and put themselves in a position where now all of a sudden I got to pay this man all this money, especially in these first 2 years. And I really don't have the money available right now. Because he's not going to be a guy that's going to, in order for you to get him, you're not going to be able to push a lot of money into year 2 and year 3. You have to give him a big cap number for year 1 to make Baltimore really think about trying to match that deal. And then the word I've been using lately is the poison pills. There are going to be some poison pills and some escalators in this deal that's going to make it again hard for the Ravens to match it. Because otherwise, the Ravens just play this game and be like, all right, yeah, all right, we'll match it, and then you're done. And now you've put yourself in a position where you got to make a move soon, and you don't know which way you're going. Because if you put your eggs in one basket and all of a sudden that basket doesn't come through, now what? And I think that's the biggest problem right now with his situation.
Now
he might get stuck having to play for $32 million.
Okay. Lamar Jackson. He only started 7 games in 2018, which is his rookie year. He was 6-1 as a starter. Okay. His first full year as a starter, good God, come back. 15 games. He was 13-2 as a starter, MVP. People said he couldn't pass. He passed for 3,127 yards, 36 touchdowns, over 6 interceptions. The kid does not turn the ball over. Let's just talk about that. 1,200 yards rushing, 7 rushing TDs. He does not turn the ball over very much. He's only got 15 lost fumbles in his career. 38 interceptions against 101 touchdowns. He was 8-4 as a starter last year, 7-5 the year before, 11-4 the year before that. Here's my thing. I know durability is an issue. And I think you have to put into the contract, he has to play a certain amount of snaps in order to get the full max of the contract. That has to be something that's written in. And my mother told me a long time ago, it's not your job to tell somebody what they're worth. It's not for you to decide what they're worth. So I'm not going to say, well, Lamar's worth this or he's not worth that. It's not for me to decide.
All right.
What I see with his skill level and what he's able to do with broken pieces. And I say broken pieces because Devin Duvernay, Hollywood Brown, Mark Andrews has been his best receiver. Mark Andrews and come on, help me out. The other tight end they got this year.
Isaiah Likely.
Those are his 2 best targets. But I think those are 2 best targets of his career. Baltimore has not went and said, hey, let's go pick this guy up a number 1 receiver. I don't give a damn what Philly did. Philly just proved they showed you the blueprint.
Well, Buffalo did it before that.
Yes, and agreed. Buffalo did.
Josh Allen wasn't. You weren't looking at Josh Allen as a top 5 quarterback before Diggs got there.
I agree. So let me take that off the board and throw this beauty to the boss BJ. Buffalo wrote the blueprint. You got this quarterback that can run, but he needs receivers. And Josh Allen has Dawson Knox. He has Gabe Davis. He had Isaiah McKenzie along with Stephon Diggs. He had a nice receiving room. These guys can get it in. What was the other tight end they had? Dawson Knox was another guy. I can't think of his name. But did well. Baltimore has not made the move. And who's the greatest receiver in Baltimore history?
Anquan Bolden.
That's their greatest receiver. And they didn't get a prime Anquan Bolden. They got a rejuvenated Anquan Bolden.
That's the only guy I can think of. I mean, you got Torrey Smith, but I don't consider
Steve
him.
Smith.
Yeah, again, that's another guy that was at the
another
end of his,
rejuvenated guy.
Yeah.
So you got Anquan Bolden, Torrey Smith's up there, Steve Smith, Michael Jackson. He was a Raven. Kadri Ishmael, Brandon Stokely, Jermaine Lewis. And I'm just
But
shooting
man,
off.
you're at the point. They're one of the teams that invested the least in the position. So like there's the problem. But again, just going back to it, I just think he didn't follow the Cousins blueprint. And I think that's the issue. Like the Cousins blueprint got Cousins paid twice. And of course, I think the other issue was, or the other key contributor in that factor was that Cousins did this with an organization that is notorious for being reactive and not proactive. Whereas the Baltimore Ravens, and I made a comment on a post in a sports group, and I was just like, this is what the Ravens do. And I wasn't saying it from, like, the person that was arguing with me was trying to take it from, like, a talent level. Like, oh, they never do this with their elite talent. But Baltimore has got some guys because they have their talent layered. And when it's that time for that guy's contract to come up, it's all right, man. It's nice.
When they got rid of Bart Scott.
I mean, it's a list of them, especially on the defensive side.
Yeah,
yeah. You know, I mean, it's guys that they just was like, all right. I mean, my favorite one is Ellerbe, because Ellerbe signed like a 7-year, $35 million deal in Miami and did absolutely nothing in Miami. You know, they lost CJ Mosley to the Jets, and his first 2 years was nondescript because he was hurt for the first 2 years. So there's times and situations where these guys have gone up, especially on the defensive side, but even on the offensive side. Orlando moved up because he wanted to be a They had Ronnie.
You breaking up.
We got out of time.
You breaking up. Hold on. Back up. You was breaking up. You said on the offensive side, they let guys go. Now go. I didn't hear the guys. You know, I heard Orlando Brown and nothing else.
Oh, so Orlando Brown. You got they just let Ben Jones go. Who else was I saying? There's one more offensive lineman. I lost it now. But I mean, even Hayden Hurst was their tight end. I mean, they've let guys go and they've had plans in place where they had the talent layered. And I think this is the first year, to be honest, that even Washington kind of had that in mind. If you don't sign Duran, you got Mathis behind them. You know, you lucked in the Ridgeway. You know, but now you paid them, so it kind of takes that plan out of place. And I wouldn't be surprised in the first 3 rounds at Washington, they don't take an edge guy.
Okay. Let me ask this question. With Lamar, we're talking, and it's hard to talk Baltimore history because we're only going back to 96. That's all we go back. And if we had to, let me ask this question. We had to look at it. Is Lamar the best quarterback Baltimore has ever had?
Yes.
Okay.
And quick update, Michigan State, Kansas State is now in overtime or going to overtime at 82-82.
We got a bomb burner on TV. If he's the best quarterback, he's the best option. Why not give him the weapons to succeed? Why not give him? Of course, you play this game.
Well, they made the investment. They've tried to make investments. They had Hollywood Brown and realized that, I mean, the kid dropped a lot of stuff.
They got Rashad Perriman.
No.
Rashad Perriman, Stonehands. But the boy can catch now, but Stonehands.
Rashad Bateman, the kid from Minnesota they just drafted. He's been hurt. You know, so some of the problem has been the people you picked haven't worked out. Go ahead, man. You good. Stonehands killing me. But yeah.
I can catch, coach. I swear I can. I can catch. Okay. Anyway. Bonus question. Who's the best coach in Baltimore history?
Harbaugh.
And I'm sorry, Baltimore Raven history. Because I can't say Baltimore history.
Harbaugh.
Marshall Broden.
You just like that's your guy.
Yeah, I love it. I love Marshall Broden. I'm always gonna love him. His players love him too. Rest in peace. Only coach to coach the Baltimore Colts, the Indianapolis Colts, and the Baltimore Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
That says something right there. That says something. But they brought him back to get him together to get the fans on board. But that's a different story. But if this dude's not negotiating for Lamar's trying to do something. And I just wish this is so unlike the Ravens organization to be this. I don't want to call it dysfunctional. Give me an adjective, please. I need help. It's not dysfunctional. I need something.
I think it's smart because they took the year and they negotiated with him. And from what it sounds like, they put decent offers on the table. So now you got to, at a certain point, and I think this is where the worth conversation and the leverage conversation, there's like a bar graph where somewhere that graph isn't matching up. Like his level where he think he's worth is not coming down to what the leverage he has. Okay. If that makes sense. You know, so I think that's where he's having a problem because he's lost his leverage by letting it get here. He should have had this deal done at the end of the season and he would have been fine. And I think he just had to come off of the Browns deal. Like he had to stop having that hope that he was going to get the Sean Watson money.
But see that's a fluke effed up contract because he's getting ready to renegotiate that so they can sign people. So he got to get off of that all the way. Now we got to keep an eye on this, but we got to jump to this last topic because this is what we here for. So keep your GM. I'm sorry, keep your executive hat on, but I need you to put your owner hat on. I need you to come on in because you just paid $6.9 billion, and I'm just upping it up. You just paid $6.9 billion of your own money to buy the Washington Commanders. What's your first two moves as owner?
So we talked
Midnight Rider. So
we talked about this already, and my first move, and I know I'm supposed to get my front office together, but one of my first moves is I'm gonna find a guy in the service industry, and I'm not talking about the fifth best guy in service. I'm talking about the first or second best guy. Maybe it's bringing back a guy like La Famina, but it's somebody in the service industry that is known for taking care of his customers. Because my job number one is I have to get fans back in the building, but I have to get them feeling like they are being taken care of. Part of that plan in initiating and getting the fans back is reinvesting in getting Metro to have buses, or if it's not Metro, we take money out of our pocket and we get some coach buses, and those buses take people from the parking lot, like that one parking lot that's all the way in the back, and you know, we drop you at the stadium, or we bring you from the Metro, which is a mile walk, and we're bringing you into the front doors. Like we're doing everything to engage you to make you know that we want you at our stadium. That would be number one. Number two would be we're going to do something to get this facility up to date. I can't have you feel like you walking in, and this is no offense to Morgan State, Jackson State, or any of the HBCUs, but my facility can't be at that level. When I know for a fact guys that come from Clemson or go to Alabama, they're living it up. You know what I'm saying? Caviar lobster lifestyle. I need to get to that level. But then when it comes to the alignment of my franchise, which is the main reason we're here, is I got two guys that I've been thinking about as my GM. One used to be here, and that's Kyle Smith. That's the first one. I think if you look at his report card and what he did that 2020, you know, he got you a Cam Curl. He got you that draft class was very productive. You got you a Cole Holcomb. So you got guys that actually came out and made plays. The other guy would be a minority for me since we're doing this, and it'll be Adrian Wilson from Arizona. You know, he used to play safety, but he's one of those guys. He had an opportunity or interview for a couple jobs, but he would be my next guy. that I take. Now, even though he's my GM, my next goal is I'm getting me somebody quality as my player personnel guy, especially on the college side. So I'm going over the NFL Network. I'm rolling out the limousine. We going to the best steakhouse in the building. I'm taking a blank check and I'm gonna slide across the table. I'm gonna look Daniel Jeremiah right in the eyes. I need to be my player personnel guy. I need you to tell me who the good players are. We can build a staff, but you're the head guy of this. You already have NFL experience. You did this in Philly. You did this other places. Get me some W's. Get me some players in here. You know, we gotta be forward thinking.
Mm. Whew. I should have broke this up. And said your first two moves off the field, and then your first two moves, office wise, which would translate on the field. And you gave your first one. I love it. I agree with it. If I'm the new owner, I want to put a focus group up. And I want to say, okay, what do we need to improve game day experience? Because if you improve game day experience, you're going to get people to come out. And one of the biggest gripes, the top two biggest gripes are food and getting to the stadium.
Right.
And then how high parking is and everything. See, I'm not down for all that. And we're right by the Beltway, so you got to think about the traffic jam and all that. So I get the coach buses, get that. But I got to bring somebody in. And I got to see what the fans want. And what's crazy is, what is DC and Maryland known for? Well, DC is known for half smokes. Maryland is known for what? Crab cakes, crabs, things like that. But can you eat that at a game? You can't eat that at a game.
All right.
So we have to figure out, everybody loves hamburgers and hot dogs. But I would rather serve hamburgers and hot dogs off of a traditional charcoal grill, give you that real game day experience. But also, if you want something a little bit more, I want to give the fans something that'll make them say, you know what? The game was great. The food was great. The atmosphere was great. Everything. If it's got to be game day experience. However, as on top of that game day experience, the old Landover Mall site, I would buy that just to redevelop it. And I would actually put a mall there.
I think they actually own some of that land.
I heard the Learners own that.
Okay.
The Learners were supposed to sell it to the Snyders, but they were talking, but the Learners because the Learners used to own Landover Mall. I think they own Peach. I think they own almost every mall in the area. Or they got their hand in every mall. But I will put a mall there. So, and you got restaurants and sports bars and shops and everything. You tailgate there, walk on across to the stadium. You got everything blocked off, and I got the band leading, because that's what Baltimore does outside of their stadium. They have Ravens walk.
I don't want nothing that Baltimore does. I'm sorry. I don't want. I know what you're trying to say and what you're trying to do. I don't want that part of the experience.
I need my band, and I want the traditional band back. That's what I want. I want the traditional band back.
You're not getting that back, though. I
know. But I can have the band, and they still have the band, but I need the true band. Mm-hmm. That one that plays that loop around the stadium. But my second thing, off the field, start shopping for a new home. That's my second thing off the field. I would shop for a new home. Of course, I would love to redevelop RFK. On the field, as far as front office, everybody wants to change the GM. And I remember when Doug Williams was senior director of player personnel, we were able to get guys like, oh my God, I want to say not Casey Toohill. He Cole Holcomb, a lot of young guys. Doug Williams fished out. He was able to say, hey, we need to pick this guy late, and he doesn't get the credit for it. But Doug Williams will be a part of my decision-making process on personnel, because he knows what he's talking about. And you talk about who to hire, my head of my scouting department immediately is Scott McClure. I've seen what you do in 5 years. In 5 years, you took the Seahawks to 2 Super Bowls. You took the 49ers to 2 Super Bowls. 5 years, if you can take me to 2 Super Bowls, I'm sorry, he took the 49ers to a Super Bowl and NFC championship game. If you can take me that far after I have not tasted that in 30 years, I know we're on the right path.
I would love to say that or even be aboard with that, but I couldn't because that's too much of the sins of the past coming back in the
I
building.
mean,
And I don't. I can't
you act like I'm bringing Jim Zorn in to be my quarterback's coach.
sins of the past, man. I'm.
But see,
Like this, you see. I think in our visions, the difference is I really want to move as much as I can away from what they did.
Okay.
So that's why I'm bringing in who I'm bringing in because we need to reform. Now, I did bring back Kyle Smith, but we need to kind of reform that identity. We need to build a brand that is the Commanders brand, not what's been here for the last 25 years. And I almost don't think that Scott would even, or his wife would even have interest, even though Dan and them are gone, they may not have interest in just coming back and reliving some of that trauma because there's going to be questions. There's going to be stuff in the media, trying to fish out, because you got to think they're going to try to fish out the truth of what happened when he was last here.
Mm-hmm. I get that.
So that's I love the idea and the thought process. I just, when it comes to the application of it, I have concerns.
Now, here's my thing. I understand your concerns. I hear them, and they're valid concerns. I'm not going to invalidate their valid concerns because I'm asking for what was once successful.
Right.
However, if I have to look at it, and I have to look at this front office structure, okay. Well, I'm gonna have to put a pin in that because I got something I guess I got to go handle. So abruptly, we're gonna have to come back on Sunday and talk about this, and I have to finish this because
somebody got the wrap it up signal.
I got the wrap it up B signal, and so look, we'll put a pin in that. I'll come back and I'll give my thoughts on that on Sunday. Don't forget next week's WrestleMania week. But until next time, that's the Midnight Rider. I'm the big guy, KG. We don't do no overtime, y'all. We are out of here.